Hello, thank you for watching today's episode of Career Conversations. I want to introduce you to an artist and mental health entrepreneur. Her name is Thao Vanessa Tran, and she comes to us from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the show, Thao.
Hi, thank you so much, Unica, for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. And so I found you on LinkedIn, read a little bit about your story. I thought it was really fascinating. I reached out and said, hey, we got to talk about your career path. You've worked in so many different areas and got so many different experiences. So I really wanted to talk about the artist part and the mental health part today. We can, of course, venture in anything else you want to share. But what does your family think you do when you tell them that you're an artist and a mental health entrepreneur?
Okay, so the funny thing is they don't think I'm an artist or a mental health entrepreneur. I don't even know if they know what the word entrepreneur means, but they do understand that I have had mental health, like a lived experience of mental health. So they understand that bit, the real bit, but the artist aspect is sort of like the art of mental health in a way, and they don't understand that yet. But they think that I am a digital marketer, and I have been for a very long time. So I created my first website when I was around 12, 13 years old. And since then, back then when we had GeoCities and Yahoo and Alta Vista. No, actually, I don't know that one. What's that one?
This is another website builder, like back in the day when you
AOL as well, right?
Yes, that sort of era.
Yeah, so I grew up learning the art of the internet, and that's how I sort of fell into digital marketing. And so I had no idea what marketing was in high school. I remember someone, like a past student who was studying advertising at RMIT University in Melbourne, they were showing like all these advertisements that they created and like the storyboarding. My friend was like, oh, you'd be really good at that. And I had no idea. So I ended up studying podiatry coming out of, I know everyone has that same look and they're like, what, you like feet? Like, no, but like feet are really important, right?
Because if like everyone has them, we all need them to get A to B.
But sometimes people aren't born with them, right? So they have to make do with their hands and what they have. So anyway, so I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. Having said that, though, if we backtrack a few years, when I was 16, I became an entrepreneur. So I used to teach primary school kids, so our family friends children. And I made money that way. So I think I charged like $10 or $15 an hour. And it was really fun because they were all like students who, I was teaching English and math, and it was really fun. I made it really interesting and exciting. But then I guess I started my first official business when I created Fresh Minds Tutoring, which was a school, like a tutoring school. I think you guys call it tutor.
Yes.
Yeah, and so basically I created that, and that's when I sort of understood the art of business, because before I had no idea what I wanted to do. Growing up, you're like, I told the doctor, the GP, I want to be a doctor. And then I'm like, oh, actually, I don't know. Like I could be a doctor, but I didn't get the grades. So I studied podiatry. But then after podiatry, after 3 years, I didn't graduate from podiatry. So what happened was I was in a class and someone from New Balance came into the class, and I was like, oh, gee, wouldn't that be really cool if I knew how to promote sneakers, make sneakers, like understand the whole art form of like the shoe, because high heels aren't always that good for you, but women, we wear them because they
we do wear them. I have quite a few.
Yeah, same. So so understanding how the foot is so important for the human gait movement as well. Anyway, so I studied podiatry for 3 years, and then after that I was like, nah, I got to like promote sneakers somehow. And I fell
like,
into
this like triggered you to like realize like I'm in the wrong place. This is what I should be doing.
Yeah, because like I loved working with the patients, but I didn't want to be like in a small confined space. And that was my thing. Like I was such a more of a social butterfly, I guess. And I loved, like, I was really curious about the world and everything like that. So then I ended up transferring out of that course secretly, and I did a year of arts.
You got to talk to me about the secretly part. How did this happen?
So basically I applied in the same university. So I went to La Trobe University to begin with, and La Trobe basically, I was like, okay, what can I do? What course can I do for 1 year and do it really well? I'm going to pick an arts degree and just do whatever I want to study. And I didn't do any drama at the time, but I did creative writing, I did anthropology and linguistics. So I was like, the study of language is so cool. And I used to go every Sunday to language school. So my background is Vietnamese. So I used to learn, I used to study Vietnamese. So I was like, hey, the language of Vietnamese is cool. I used to study Greek in primary school, so elementary. And then I studied Japanese in high school. And then in uni, I was like, hey, I can study like how language is formed and, how, unique, like uniquer, like where does that come from? Do you know what I mean? Like where does the QUE come from?
Right.
And the uni, like universal, like just the study of languages. And so I did that for 1 year. And so it was really easy to get in because it was the same university. So I didn't have to change. Obviously, I just changed faculties, but I didn't change the whole university system in terms of like jumping to another.
That can be stressful, wondering if your credits will transfer.
Yeah, exactly. So then I did that for a year secretly because no one knew, because I was still in the same university. Obviously, the teachers all knew, but I did that for a year. And then I got really good grades because I really enjoyed it, right? Because in podiatry, I kind of failed anatomy and physiology. Not really my thing, but I did really well in dermatology and clinical practices, actually the real life hands-on podiatric instruments that we used on the patients or clients, we now call them. And then so I didn't graduate from arts. My goal was to just do a year and then transfer into something else that was marketing related. And so I transferred and wrote a letter to Monash University. So Monash in Melbourne, or in Australia and the Asia Pac region, they're really known for innovation. You know how every university is known for a certain thing.
They have a reputation, like Georgia State is on its way to brand itself as a research institution.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Monash are really innovative in business. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Monash. So then I wrote a letter and wrote my application, did my application, and then got into a Bachelor of Psychology and Management Marketing. So it's kind of like a triple threat degree. And at that time, I still was thinking, how do I tell my parents that I'm not doing podiatry anymore? So then when I finished arts, like that 1 year, I went into that, got accepted into the psychology and management marketing degree. I ended up telling my mum, hey, I want to become a psychologist, because that was the furthest thing from a science degree, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So science, everyone thinks of like the lab or pharmaceuticals or doctor, or dentistry or optometry, but I was like, psychology is sort of like on the edge, like an outlier.
Yeah, it's a social science.
Yeah, exactly. Social science, that's the word. Thank you. And it's a social science because it includes like the aspect of human behavior and everything. And that degree was amazing because it incorporated business and psychology as well, because everything is psychologically related. And so I did that. But during that time, I was working full time. So I was working and studying at the same time. So I never really had a break. So I was working full time and studying part time. And so you can imagine I only did 2 units a semester. Maybe 2 or 4. I think it was 2 a term. And then I was just working my ass off, And
but so you gotta do.
you got to hustle, right? And it's very much like, for me, I was always a hard worker growing up, and my parents used to make clothes, so they used to sew. And I used to help them out, make like the collars and the cuffs and sew with them as well. And so I kind of learnt the art of tessellation, like things like, Tetris.
Yes.
Yeah, and how the pattern of the clothes, they all come together to form a blouse or, a jacket or something like that. But anyway, going back to the degree, that degree ended up becoming obsolete because I think I took too long to finish it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then I ended up transferring into Bachelor of Business and Commerce at the same university at Monash. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll just transfer into business and it'll be an online course. So perfect, right? Because then you can study whilst working as well, not properly, but like you can study online. And because
there's a little bit more work-life balance than I have to get in the car, commute to campus, sit in a classroom. It's a much different learning environment.
Yeah, exactly. And so I kind of reveled in the online environment. I was like, okay, this is really sweet. I'm going to study online. I'm going to work full time and I'll just study at home. And it was at the middle of 2015 when I finally graduated. So it was July the 13th. I remember that day. And our graduation day was October the 26th. I remember that day too. But when I graduated, my name was Vanessa. That's another story that we can.
Yeah.
So like when I was growing up and when I changed my name, well, I updated it and I added Vanessa to the start of the name. And the reason why, one, for personal reasons, and two, also because I wanted a name that the HR professionals could read and understand that, okay, she's female, she's a she, like who is Thao? Like if they read that, they'd be like, is it Thao, Thao, like Theo, what is it, right?
They don't have a sense of identity based on the name other than perhaps she might be Asian or he might be Asian, like they don't really know.
Yeah, and they're probably like, okay, who is this person? Are they an international student? Do they know how to speak English? And so I'm like, okay, I have to change my name to Vanessa. So I added that name and I chose that name because of the suffix. So studying linguistics kind of helped me create this name, right? And the suffix is Ness, like Elliot Ness in a way.
Okay.
But Ness is also the emotion of everything that we think of, right? So this is sort of like a calling to become
like
an
happiness.
actress. Yeah, exactly. Like the pursuit of happiness, sadness, adaptiveness, everythingness, right? I was like, hey, I'll choose this name. And plus, because I went to a Greek primary school, all my friends were Greek and Italian and Turkish. Yeah. So I thought Vanessa would be a really cool name because it's an Italian name. And I love Italian food as well. Like I love pasta, all that jazz. And so I'm like, okay, I'll add Vanessa to the front of the name, but I'll keep Thao Phuong Tran for the rest of it. And so when I started my corporate career when I was 19, 20, I just had Vanessa that whole time. So from 20 till now, which is like quite a long number of years, I've finally sort of transferred back to Thao. Yeah.
No.
I think you're frozen. Hello.
Connection is being moody, huh? All right, so I lost you for a second. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Get us back on the conversation space.
Okay.
I've got you back.
Yes. I've got you back.
Okay, finally. So I want to pick up where we left off. We talked about your name, Vanessa, and how you've used it for a long time, and why you chose it. It's got some interesting roots. We talk about your love of Italian food and
Yes.
It's kind of being an emotionally connected word. Why would you pick something that's emotionally connected? Like, what is the significance
Oh,
for you?
you're breaking up.
Can you hear me
Well,
now?
you're breaking up, Unica. Yes,
Oh,
I can hear you
no.
now. Can you please repeat that question?
Oh, sure. So I was asking, ness. You picked this particular suffix because it's related to emotionalness.
Yes.
What made that appealing for you?
What made that what? Sorry?
Yeah, what was attractive about this particular suffix and sort of the connection? Was it about the emotion? Like, is emotion a positive thing, or?
I think emotion is a positive, a negative, a funny, a hilarious. It can be anything, right? Emotion just comes from within. And as humans, what we want to, we want people to feel. And a lot of the time, like in advertising, really good advertising makes us feel good or feel sad. Like you want to evoke an emotion, right? And even studying in high school, like English language analysis, like it's all emotion.
Yeah.
And understanding how the way people write or how films are made or how music is made, it's all trying to evoke an emotion and to appeal a certain emotion to make you feel, right? And so
Right.
that's where ness came from. I'm like, okay, I really like the suffix ness, and I'm going to roll with it. And it was really hard to start off with. Like my first job, I actually worked with another lady, Vanessa, in my first job.
Oh.
And yeah, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to be Vanessa 1, and she'll be Vanessa 1, I'll be V2, VAVB. And that's sort of like how it started. So everyone who called me Vanessa, I didn't answer straight away because I kind of was like mute to the name, but because I personally didn't know anybody named Vanessa, only Vanessa Hudgens, but she's the only Vanessa that I knew. Yeah. And exactly. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to answer to Vanessa, like just, answer to this name. And yeah, and gradually over the years, like I just answered the answer to Vanessa. But it also made my friends go, okay, what do we call you? I'm going to call you Thao. I'm going to keep calling you Thao. I'm not going to call you Vanessa. You're not Vanessa, you're Thao. And then like my high school friends would be like, oh, Vanessa kind of suits you. And then the new people would be like, what? You also have a name Thao? Like, yeah, I think it just confused everybody. And eventually, yeah, just recently I kind of wanted to just be known as my original name, Thao V Tran, or Thao Vanessa Tran.
Is there a particular, I guess, reason behind returning to your original name? Like,
yeah, I think from an identity and a mental standpoint, like I kind of, the first time, so if we're going back to mental health, I have actually had a number of episodes, if you want to call it like that. And they're kind of like awakenings. And each time I had these awakenings, I had 5. Each time I had these awakenings, I've always wanted to go back to Thao.
huh.
Yeah. And every time I've had this awakening, I've always wanted to become an artist as well. And when you're a mental health, someone who's gone through depression or, anxiety, bipolar, whatever it is, it's, they kind of allow you to sort of just get rid of too much stimulation from the outside world and kind of go within. And if you're focused on yourself, you're like, hey, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? I'm like, I want to inspire. And some people didn't get it back then. They're like, who, what? Who are you going to inspire? You? Inspiration? What? They didn't get it. And I was like, no, that's what I want to do. I want to inspire. And I don't really know how or who or when or what, but I know why. And recently, I know that I want to inspire you, right? And so that makes, recently, I mean, I'm 3 years more, I'll be 40 years old. But I recently realized that my purpose and my why, obviously, yes, I love myself, but it's also because I love you, right? And as an artist, you want to create art, whether it's through painting, drawing, whether it's through words or scripts or, films.
Yes.
You want to create something that reflects on that person, right? Because it's kind of like a mirror. Like when we look in the mirror, we're that woman in the mirror, we're like, hey, hang on, yeah, today I look like crap, or what am I going to do to change myself to make me feel good about myself? Like, what is it about me that I can do as an artist to help serve you become inspired, feel happy? Like, I want to make people laugh. I think sometimes I can be a bit of a comedian, but I'm also a chameleon too. So an artist is a person who's willing to adapt to environments. And for the past, 30 years, I think I have adapted to so many different environments, like whether it's in a job at a school, whether it's creating a school, whether it's in a job at an advertising agency, you've got to adapt. And I think our generation and the future generations, our attention span's pretty short. But how do we? Yeah, and mine's so short now as well. But the thing is, how do we train our brain to, okay, yes, get that shortness, but also feel the story, like the full story, if that makes sense. So kind of like if you look on TikTok, right, so many different snippets, or if you're on Instagram, so many different snippets of videos, reels, posts, stories. But then how does that account? How does that person, how does that inspiration create a story that you can actually go, oh my God, I really feel inspired when I'm connected to this person? And at the end of the day, it's all love, right? So it's all love and it's all connection. It's not about the fame. It's not about the money. It's not, money, money helps you breathe. And I think that's something that Les Brown said as well. And I follow him because I like him as well. But yes, someone once said money helps people breathe, right? So it's not about the money that you make. It's about how do you make your money to help the lives of others. Yeah, so I'm going to cry, but I'll stop right now.
Look, crying is allowed. I have cried here. I've done so many things. Like we've talked about the emotionalness of Vanessa, like in the nest sort of. So it seems like it's just one of those things that's truly a part of you as a person.
Yeah.
And so I'm surprised. There's also a wow thing. I'm going to take a picture and probably post it alongside this. You talked about a mirror.
Yeah.
I don't normally have a mirror in my office, much less I put it in front of me this time during it to do this episode because I wanted to kind of get a feel for what my body language looked like.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was that's the irony. There's so many, I feel like, layers that seem serendipitous of this meeting. Like,
so different layers.
But I love it. I am excited about the future for you. You talk about being an artist. I've gotten a chance to do a little research. I realized you've got background in playing piano and choreography and dance. Yeah. How does all that come to play into your art?
I think it begins when you're either one, under pressure to create something, or two, when you're not under pressure and you've got time to create something. So either way, it can go either way, right? So for example, choreographing a dance class, I did that with a few of my primary school friends, my elementary friends, and that was really fun, right? And we called it the Scotch Girls, and I think I was the lead, and everyone was like dancing around us, and we performed it to the school. But I think it's kind of like what Steve Jobs said, like you can only connect the dots looking back. You can't connect them forward, right? But if you're constantly thinking about what's next, that's amazing. But you've also got to be grateful for what has happened. So me dancing, me, doing all these things, it's just trial and error, but it's, trying, like you can't stop trying, right? And the more you try, the more you're willing to buy the things that you've tried that you like.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that, the trial and error piece of this. Like, I think about some of the things that I've tried to do a few times over, and you know, I like to say I failed, but I don't really feel like it's a failure if you learn something.
Yeah.
You get to a place where you recognize like that which is your lane, I guess, for lack of better words. And so once you like realize like you're in your zone, like you continue to then, like you said, buy into those things and keep progressing and moving forward. So what does buying into being an artist look like for you?
For me, I think that's a really good question. I think buying into being an artist, it's about creation. So it's like creating things that make people feel happy or inspired or ecstatic or, you know, whatever they want to feel. And I want to be an artist that makes people feel like that. And I think if people realize that, oh my God, I feel like I've known Vanessa or I feel like I've known Thao for so long and I've only just met her on Instagram or I've only met her on the street or whatever it is, I feel like I know her. And I think, you know, this is my marketing hat coming into play, but I think the brands such as, you know, whatever brands you can think of, because brands come from people as well, but the brands will then buy into that inspiration. Yeah. So they'll buy into that person who creates that inspiration. And
now that makes sense. There's like if there's an alignment. Okay, so you're selling the inspiration that I'm interested in harnessing.
yeah,
Or as one of my guests put it, they said they said they really like marketing because it's like basically a way to trade energy.
yeah, trade energy. Yeah, that's it.
And I was like, that is exactly it. It is like I give you this in exchange for this. So whether it's, you know, the energy of I've spent my money to earn my time to earn the money to do this, or because I've exchanged energy in terms of just even attention to something because it brings me happiness or it makes me feel.
Yeah, and you know how people say, "Oh, don't be the center of attention," or "Don't be so self-conscious." I think that's a myth, and I think that we should be self-conscious because it means that we're self-aware, like we're conscious within ourselves, right? So to actually be self-conscious as an artist is a good thing because you know like where things are aligned or who you want to work with, who wants to sell into you as a product, as a brand, as a person.
So speaking of like alignment and self-consciousness, who or what brands would you really want to work with? Like what is like goals for you?
That's the easy one. The goal will be Nike. Number one, right?
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. And that's what I say to myself. Like I think to myself, oh my God, should I go to the bathroom? Like I kind of need to go. Just do it, you know, and then I go. Or if I'm like, okay, do I need to exercise? Oh my God, just do it. Like I just say that to myself. And I think, yeah, by working marketing for quite a number of years now, Nike is my number one brand that I would love to work with. Number two, it'll probably be a film studio. I don't know which, maybe Disney.
That would be so fun. Come to Orlando.
Sorry? You come to Orlando.
Yeah, I live in Orlando near Disney.
Florida. Yeah. See, I've never been to Disney, but we do have a smaller Disney in the east coast of Australia. And it's called, oh my God, like they have Movie World. It's in the Gold Coast. So there's a place in, obviously it's not the same as Florida, Orlando. But yeah, so I remember going into Movie World and yeah, I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't it be so cool to go to Disneyland? Or like, you know, not even just that, but actually inspire people through Disney, right? Because you've got Disneyland, which is amazing, like the real life experience, but then you also have the experience of being on the screen as well. So you can inspire kids who can't go to Disneyland or don't have the money to fly, or, you know, kids who, you know, children who basically, you know, don't have the opportunity.
Right.
So how can you?
It's expensive.
Yeah. It's a few $100s, right?
I don't remember the cost, but I went for the first time this year.
Yeah.
I was like in my 30s. This is my first time going to Disney, and I was just like, this is pretty expensive.
Yeah, but it's worth it, right? As in the experience. And I think, yeah, like our generation, we're very much into experiences as opposed to material things. So it's like I'd rather experience a beautiful nature walk as opposed to buy a top or
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of like, I want everything.
well, that's true too. Yeah, it's okay to be like
I want nice clothes and nice things, but yes, I also want sunsets in Sedona,
yeah.
and to travel to Tokyo. I want all of the things.
Yes, yeah. Okay. I respect you win.
I'm terrible. Don't be like me, guys.
No, but that's true. Like it's okay to want everything. But I think to want everything, you have to find a way. Like as children, right? We grow up and we're like, I want this, I want that, especially when we're like toddlers. It's like, I want Coke, or I want, like I want a
French fries.
French fries. Yeah. Like I want mac and cheese. And I want mac and cheese right now, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to like just settle because I just went for a walk and a run. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to have any mac and cheese. I'm going to deprive myself of that for now so then I can do something first and reward myself with the mac and cheese. So,
yeah. So mac and cheese. So your reward is mac and cheese. I think I'm torn between like French fries and naps.
What's naps? Oh, as in like
sleep.
Oh, naps. Yeah. We call them nana naps here.
Oh yeah, nana naps.
Yeah, I love naps too. I haven't had a nap in so long, but yeah.
Okay, so you gotta put that on your reward list.
Yeah. Yes, reward list, naps, and fries. I do love fries too, like McDonald's fries. Even though they're so thin, they're so crispy.
That, and my husband's gonna judge me forever, but Zaxby's crinkle cuts and Chick-fil-A waffle fries.
Oh my gosh!
I'm trying to avoid Chick-fil-A because, as my friends of Lovely Leaf all that hate chicken, so I don't spend my money.
Okay, gotcha.
So, you're an artist who would love to work at Nike or Disney on screen at some point eventually. You like nana naps and French fries and mac and cheese.
Yes.
When you are not working, sounds like at an intense level, which is something you like picked up at university. What are you doing to unwind?
Listen to music. Yeah, so I love music. I love Lauryn Hill. I grew up listening to Lauryn Hill, and I kind of forgot about her in like all of my 20s, right? Because I was working so much.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'm going to listen to her again. And I've missed her so much.
Yeah.
And
she's not come out with a lot of music over the years either, though. But like, I've enjoyed what has come out.
Oh yeah. When what comes out?
As I have enjoyed the music that has come out. It's not like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, but there's another one, another album that she's got like acoustics and stuff, and it's really cool if you get a chance to check it out. I stumbled upon it like years back on like Spotify, and I was like, "Ooh, I like this."
There you go. Yeah, I also like Drake, so I listen to Drake a lot. Drake, Lauryn Hill, Bruno Mars. Just like all the artists, Alicia Keys, like, oh my God, love Alicia Keys. And I could never play piano as good as her, but, that's why her name's Keys, right? So,
right.
Go figure. But yeah, so music is something that I love to do to unwind, but I also like to meditate. So every morning, without fail, I go to the local park. It's called the Fairfield Boathouse. It's amazing. Like you can have breakfast there. It's right by the Yarra River. You can row your boat. You can like have a canoe. You can have a kayak or a boat with your family. And it's so nice. You can like talk to the ducks or play with the ducks, whatever you want to do. Yeah, it's beautiful. Anyway, I go there every morning to unwind and I just meditate. And I do kind of like Tai Chi /yoga /Qigong, which is kind of yeah, like I just worship the sun, right? Because every morning we have to be grateful that the sun is here. But when it's sunny here, it's probably dark over there. So I also worship the moon. Yeah.
So look, depends on where I'm at. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's evening here. It's probably what, I'm not sure what time there.
It's 9:23 a.m. here. What's the time over there?
It is 7:23 p.m.
Oh, there you go.
I'm like, I'm very jealous of how you start your day though. She's like, I get up and I do Tai Chi and yoga and hang out by the water. And I'm like, I need to upgrade my mornings.
But you can also just like zone out a little bit, right? So just I do it for like 2 songs. I do it to 2 songs. So it's like 6 minutes and that's it. And if I'm in a rush or if I have an appointment or if I have a meeting or a meeting you as well, I was like running. But then also I was like, no, I have to meditate to a song. And you can do whatever you want. Like it's like just energy, right? So transferring energy from the sun, the people, whoever it is, to yourself. But then also that exchange of energy too. So yeah, that's what I do. But then one more thing to unwind. I love watching movies. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Charlotte's Web.
I love that movie. It was one of my favorites growing up. Like it's such a like sweet and sad movie, but I just
know.
It's all the feelings.
Yeah, I love that. The magic
and
riddle.
spelling's involved. I don't know why, but like that was also an enjoyable part of this.
Which one?
Charlotte's Web and the whole spelling and things in this.
Oh yeah.
Kind of.
There's also Cinderella.
Yes.
And so many. Ariel.
Yeah, Little Mermaid is. Did you get a chance to check out the live action version? I haven't yet.
No, I haven't. I will do. I will. My favorite, probably all-time movie. There's so many. I can't name them all. Devil Wears Prada, amazing. Good Will Hunting, amazing. Oh my god. Okay,
so I'll name one. Like in a remake of any of these films, which one would it be?
Cinderella.
Cinderella? Yeah. That would be super cool. I would love to see it.
I would love to be in like a Pocahontas movie one day, like the Australian version of like a Pocahontas movie. But yeah, I think Cinderella, I would love to do Cinderella, but who knows?
Who knows? Look, so if it happens, then we get to say that we talked about it here first.
Exactly.
Yes. So what skills do you think are important for someone that's interested in a creative sort of centered profession?
As an artist, you mean?
Yes.
I think a lot of people think that an artist, you have to know how to draw or paint or something visual. But as an artist, you are able to utilize everything around you to improvise, to turn that into art. So I think the skills can be anything from whether it's, I don't know, speaking a language, right? Whether it's speaking, that's an art, right? So using all your senses. Seeing is an art as well. So looking at someone in the eye, staring. So like Angelina Jolie is really good at staring contests. So she can stare without blinking for a really long time. And that is an art in itself. I don't know. Crawling, twerking is an art, which is a different one. But yeah, I think skills, everyone has a skill, right? So everyone is born with an art within them. But if you know how to, I'm just trying to think of like all the other things. Yeah, so like seeing, hearing, all the senses that we use to create art is really important. And if we can't see, then we can sing. Like we can be Andrea Bocelli, I think that's how you pronounce his surname. Or like Stevie Wonder, right? Yeah, but I think it's everything that you can be grateful of in your life. You can turn that into an art form. So for example, I love marketing. So I create websites for people and for businesses. And I love basketball. So I might go and I don't have a basketball with me. I don't own one. But, when the day comes when I can own my own basketball, I'm going to play basketball. And I used to play as a kid. So it's like learning the art of bouncing the ball, dribbling, learning the art of doing layups, or practicing how to do slam dunks. That's an art. What else? Presenting is an art in a way as well, definitely.
I
Speaking
just
to
think
you.
it's crazy we're having this conversation as I literally posted recently and asked people, so what is your art? Show me, tell me.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Because for me, this is my art. Career conversations is my art. People are often asking, why aren't you getting, celebrity guests or chasing viewers? That's not what this exists for me. It's kind of like you said, like you're just born with it, and you just like gotta just breathe. Like you can't hold it in.
Yeah. If you feel like you can't hold it in and you can't breathe, then you're like, who's that hip hop preacher? Eric Thomas, right?
I'm gonna be oblivious on this. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to go Google some stuff. Somebody tell me in the comments. Help us out.
He says like if you got to do something, you got to do something so much that you don't want to. I can't remember the words exactly, but like he says, you can't breathe, right? So you want something so much that you can't breathe. And for career conversations, it's like, yes, you're speaking to emerging people who are artists, who are entrepreneurs, who are researchers of their craft. So it's like, how do you facilitate that? And you're doing it perfectly through career conversations. And it's all about conversations, isn't it? So yeah, and career is so important. If you don't have a career, you might as well be a vegetable, right?
I mean, and that's why I really actually stress this point. And I don't know that I effectively communicate that here with people. Like we are not just our careers. Like a career is a very, core part of our what we do out here, but it's not like the summation of our being. And I feel like, especially like at least in American culture, a lot of times we always ask our kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the idea of being something, we associate that with an occupation. You're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a minister, you're going to be a recruiter or an artist. And I kind of want to push back on the idea that in order to be successful or to be a valid and respected and loved human being, you have to have, a particular career, a job title. Like a job title is a facet of who you are as a person. And so as much as, we have talked about your love of like being an artist and acting. And so these skills that you have, we have talked about you as a person, why you've chosen your name, why you've changed your name. We've talked a little bit more. I would like to talk a little bit more about your mental health company too, if we get a chance. Just because like you're multifaceted and then a whole person. And that's why career conversations isn't just like, what do you do? What time do you get out of bed in the morning? Do you like coffee or tea? Who do you report to? I'm not asking those questions because when we're all on our deathbed and checking out, no one cares.
Yeah, exactly.
No one cares.
No one cares. And when we're on our deathbed, it's like, again, going back to like Les Brown saying that, if you don't, I can't remember what he says exactly again, but it's like the graveyard is like the richest place on earth.
Yes, I've heard this quote.
Ideas, filled with stories, filled with people's dreams that they never could, realize. And I think you're exactly right. Like people say to kids and people growing, what do you want to be? But you have to be you. Like, and to be you is really important because you as a person, like, you got to have manners, you got to be polite, you got to do this, got to do that, but you have to be the ultimate version of you. And then you will realize what you can become by being, being this, being that, being everything you want.
The more I take off the mask and the shells and the guards that I have, like, and defenses I've placed around myself, the more the world opens up to me and the more access I have to the things that I want most.
Yes. Like going to Tokyo.
It's coming. Like I will put it all over Instagram when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, but
No,
no, that's why I talk to people, because I really want people to kind of witness the journey. I feel like when you focus on things like celebrities, then we are honoring the people who have become, and we miss the part of the becoming. And I
yeah,
want to capture that for folks, because so many people look and go, well, I want to be that when I grow up, and then there's no blueprint for how they got there. There's no example. There's no, well, I have similar likes and ideas. And they took this, experience in college, for example. You talk about your college experience. You said, look, I discovered, because a New Balance person showed up, that podiatry was not for me. And so you said, okay, well, I got this breadcrumb of information about myself. What do I do next?
yes,
And
yeah.
you turn that into an actionable series of items to get where you want to be and become who you want to be.
Yes. And by you speaking to people who want to, are the becoming people, if you want to call it like that, you're bridging that gap, right? So you're the actual person that facilitates and helps, bring the person who is becoming into fruition, whichever way. I don't know which this I'm using, but
No, look, you'll learn StreamYard, like left is right, right is left, like nothing.
But it's
all reversed the way the little cameras
right is left is right, and then we're going to give each other a high five.
High five. Ow!
But quickly, yeah, I want to mention Detox. So
yes, let's talk about it.
Detox is it's kind of like digital well-being for everybody, and basically, I'm not saying technology is bad and we have to like not use the phone forever and throw it in the river or whatever, but it's more like, how can we utilize technology to the best of our ability to keep us happy, to keep us, following the people that inspire us, or, being with our phone and not needing to reach for it all the time, having a conversation without our phone, but actually speaking to someone face to face, going on a date and not checking your phone, going to the toilet and not bringing your phone, things like that. So yeah, so I've created a series of events. I think I've created 4 or 5 events, and most of them have been in Melbourne. The last one I did was in New York. So we did it in Lower Manhattan in Chinatown. And I spoke to someone. So I did a bit of research and found this guy. His name's Andrew Hutner. He's based in New York, and he's an artist as well. And he kind of helped me create the Detox vision in New York. And so we did like an Airbnb thing with this person who had I think it's like a loft. You call it like a loft / rooftop.
Oh, nice.
In New York, and it was amazing. It was and that's what kind of also fueled me to want to become an artist, because we had live like artistic performances, we had hip hop yoga, we had like all these different things on during the event. So, and that was sort of like, I'm like, okay, that was the benchmark, and now what do I do with Detox? Do I take it worldwide? Do I allow everyone to create a Detox event and have the Detox branding? Like, how do I do that? Because I don't just want to create little events just for me. And even I didn't even charge much for the events. They were like $20 a head, or even free.
This got my wheels turning. I'm like, this sounds like so much fun. Like, could you like do like a detox like around the world, where like each hour, like for 24 hours, there's an event in each time zone?
Yes, that would be incredible.
Like, that would be so fun.
Yeah, then we could have countries who want to participate, and we have like a leader of each country, and they're like,
yes, that could be so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
One in each time zone. So every time zone there'll be like a digital detox, and then there's an event where people don't.
Yeah, there's like a detox guide, and you just like get into it, and like they can all have their own unique themes that are relevant to the culture of the space.
Yeah, I love that. That's so unique.
Yeah, I'm like, that sounds like a lot of fun. So you talked about your own mental health journey. Is that what inspired you to launch Detox?
Yes. So Detox, that's basically what inspired me, but also the fact that I wanted to help, because I'm a little bit psychic, but I'm also very future focused as well. Same thing. But yes, I was just seeing a lot of people with their heads down, like like just constantly on their phone, and then they realize, oh my God, I almost got hit by a car. Thank God the car saw me, the driver saw me walking across the road. And so I'm like, this is going to change. And the physiology of like people's heads were like,
your neck.
Yeah. And like I would go to work on the train and everyone just looks so sad and everyone just is like glued to their phones. And I kind of was like, oh, I got to change that. Yeah. So that's basically
Spread them the happiness, Thao.
Yes, exactly. And I want to make people laugh and smile, and you have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
That's what I want to do. So yeah.
I love it. I'm excited about the future. Is there anything I have not asked that you'd like to share?
Maybe something about love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Floor is
So
yours.
to Lauryn Hill. And I think when I was younger, I only listened to the singing part of the song. But then when you go to her album and you listen on Spotify, like all throughout the whole song, the end of the song is probably the most important part because she talks about love, right? And she has like people in the background. I think there's a couple of songs where the guy or Lauryn Hill, no, it's not Lauryn Hill. It's like the guy, some guy. I don't know.
That's like an interlude on like the end of the song, and they're kind of having a dialogue.
Yes. So the end of the song, is that called an interlude? Interlude?
That's how some people refer to them. Yes.
Okay. Yes, because it's it's between the two other songs. Gotcha. Okay. I'm learning so much from you already. So one guy goes, okay, what do you think love is about? And I think the child or the student says, love is love. And he's like, okay, give me an example of what is love. Sing me a song. And he goes, well, it goes love. Like people are just laughing. And then they realize that, you can love everybody. You do love everybody around you. But what's most important is when you fall in love, that's a different story. So when you
very different experience.
Yes, experience. Yes. And and I think when you know that you've fallen in love, like you just know. Yeah.
I have to agree with that statement. as I think about my own sort of little love story and how like, me and my husband met like back at like 17. We dated briefly. Then we didn't bother each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And really we got reacquainted on the heels of me ending an engagement actually with somebody I knew I had no business being with. And so we got reconnected, and at one point I was like, I'm totally crazy about him, but I refused to acknowledge that. So I told him I wanted to be his friend. He refused to be my friend, and I went to work sad. And so much so that like my coworkers were like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And they're like, "Girl, you call that boy back," but I told them what was going on. And so I mean, that was like the sweet, cute part about it. But I think the moment of knowing for me, like that this was my person, not necessarily that I was ready to be married because that's a whole different animal, was leaving the airport after spending a weekend with him. On the way to the airport, I was flying out this day. The weather was terrible. It's February. I'm leaving Atlanta, headed to Baltimore. And I literally pray. I said, God, if this is not for me and it's not someplace I'm supposed to be, don't let me get there. I didn't say it that way because you don't want to like pray to die, right? Yeah. But I got there and I was the only domestic flight that landed that evening. The other flight had come from Canada because the weather was so bad. Everything else got canceled. Oh. And so the way the weekend wound up, I was getting ready to get back on the plane to go back in the airport to go fly home, and I almost cried because I didn't want to leave because I was like, this was the part that's been missing. Yeah. Here we are, 8 years later, 5 years married in October. I don't know that I could imagine how things would be without him.
Yeah, see, that's so right. And I'm very happy for you.
Thanks.
And number 8 is really important because it represents infinity. And number 5 is really important because we have 5 fingers, right? It's like half of 10, right? So it's like half a decade. So congratulations. And I wish you all the best on your anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. So I didn't mean to steal the story time. I was just like, I just favorite stories.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, so is there anything else you wanted to ask before?
How can people get in touch with you if they'd like to reach out to you?
Well, they can easily go onto my Instagram. So it's THA0IE. H for Harry.
Let's see if we can get this on the screen. Repeat it for me.
T for Tom. THA0.
0.
Yep. I and E. THA0IE. That's my handle.
Like that.
IE.
IE.
Yes.
That's what I was like, look, I'm over here struggling. I'm like, IE. So I should have just copied and pasted it all in the beginning.
Towing sounds kind of cool.
IE.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And so that is how you reach her. That is a 0.
Yes.
IE.
Because we can't see the zeros, right? Like in binary, like when you code a website,
you cannot.
And you've got the zeros. So yeah. That you can't forget the numbers.
And this is how I know you're serious about your web design. A lot of people are like, WordPress, like, which is great. It's what I use. I'm not a designer, but like that to me is one of those defining moments in like, can you code this? Like, actually, I'm like, I can take some source code and change the color for you, but I'm not a web designer.
I do love Squarespace though. Yeah.
Pardon?
Squarespace. I do highly recommend using Squarespace as well.
Yeah. Noted.
Yeah.
So that is something to think about because I'm not a web girl. I dabble in a lot of things. I was like, I'm good at a lot of stuff, but not probably an expert in too many things. But that's really cool. I love that you've like found your lane and like what it is you want to become. And I'm excited about the future. I want to hear from you a year from now, see how things are going.
Thank you so much, Unica. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching Career Conversations. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.